Hi everyone, this is Vanessa here. We're having a trip down memory lane today. I've got some photos to go through because it was suggested to me after my recent illness, or current illness, whatever I have, I don't know. I've suffered from some short-term and long-term memory loss, and that I should go through photos to jog my memory. And this is me. I think this was my very first school photo. I went to Covington School in Warwickshire, and as you can see, my hair was just a mop. And I can't remember what age I was, 5 I think, at that time. And then there's another one. Again, my mother didn't know what to do with my hair most of the time because she's a white lady and dealing with afro hair was not her thing. So basically just got put into a ponytail, and then however it came out after that was pretty much how it stayed. So that's me. I can't remember how old I was then. Maybe I was 6. And again, my mother decided that it would be a good idea to cut my hair because, what else could she do with it? So here I am with a very bad hairdo. Can't remember how old I was there either. This is when I went to secondary school. Look at the glasses. Just so terrible. But I had a style, I had a hairstyle. So that was my first secondary school photo, and I went to Croft Hall in Leamington, which is now North Leamington Schools. It was part of North Leamington Schools. So next to Croft was Park Hall, and then further on was Manor Hall. And Manor Hall at that time it had closed down, and they'd condensed the NLS schools into just Park and Croft. And I went to Croft purely because I preferred the name much better. Okay, this is me in Switzerland. This was my first job in Switzerland. I was 18 years old and I just passed my nursery nursing diploma. So that gave me a diploma to work with children between 0 to I think it was 12. It was a 2-year course I took at Mid-Warwickshire College, which is now Warwickshire College, and that was my first job, proper job. I couldn't wait to leave home, but actually it was a really horrible time because I was very isolated. I don't know who this girl is, just somebody who lived near, but the place where we lived in the German part of Switzerland was quite isolated. Although it was beautiful, it was very isolated. So that's me then. This was, now actually this was before Switzerland. This was, I think, my very first photo shoot that my grandmother arranged for me with John Wright Photography, which they did this shoot for me when I must have been about 16 at the time, I think. And I can't remember how old I was here, but this is another shot of me. Not the same photo shoot, a different one. I don't know who took these, which I feel really bad about because I should know who took all my photos. That's another one. I think it was from the same shoot. I think I possibly had my son by then, so I was probably 21 at the time. There I am, and I can't remember how old I was here either, but you can see I'm very slim, and I looked like a boy. I don't know. We lived in a street when we moved away from Covington. We lived in the next kind of suburb, in a house that we lived in for a very long time. And this must have been before I went to Switzerland, because my hair was much shorter. I'm pretty sure that I was at college at this time doing my nursery nursing diploma. But this is me in Switzerland. I couldn't ski. I didn't want to ski. I don't like snow. God knows why I went there. But that was me on the sled in the Alps, Swiss Alps. I mean, really, it was an amazing experience. It taught me a lot. I wrote a lot of letters to a lot of friends. And I can remember people writing to me back. It's before, computers and emails. Before that was kind of common to do the whole emailing thing, and there was no Facebook then. So everything was just handwritten letters. This is some of my family photos. So this is my mother here. That's my mother. That's my aunt, and that's my aunt there. I can't remember when this was taken, but this was like a family shot that they had done. I think they had it done for their father, or their father organised it, my granddad. This is my Auntie Anita, Uncle Ken, my cousins Anthony and Lee. Lee's much older now. Well, obviously everyone's much older now, but Lee lives in Thailand with his wife and his daughter. Anthony has some twin daughters. And I haven't seen Uncle Ken and Auntie Anita for quite some time, but I have, briefly exchanged messages with Uncle Ken on Facebook. This is my mother on her wedding day, and my grandfather. One of my grandfathers actually had, on my mother's side, I should say, my grandmother remarried. So she divorced my grandfather and married Uncle Ken's father, which is a bit confusing for people, but you'll see him in a minute. I've got some pictures of him. And there was a lot of controversy with my mother and father's marriage, because she was white and he was black, and he was much older than her. He also had 2 daughters and an adopted son, and we were later to find out that he had another son as well in Barbados years later. There's a lot of controversy there, and but there's my grandfather and my mother together on the wedding day, on her wedding day. And this is my grandmother, Granny Joyce, and Grandad Fred, the gentleman you saw in the previous photo. He's passed away now, but my granny is still very much with us. She's nearly 80, and she's one of the kindest people on the face of the earth. She's just lovely. And there's my father, my mother, Auntie Judy, and also this is Sally, Aunt Sally. Or she might be my cousin Sally, I can't remember. Oh, this is terrible. And Diane, my auntie. This is my father outside the King's Head pub in Covington. We lived there for, well, I remember 9 years of living there. And right next to the King's Head is Covington School, and opposite is a church. So I had in front of me, I had a place of worship, a place of debauchery, and a place of knowledge. That's my life in general. That's pretty much how my life has always been. and that was in happier times, and there was a lot of things that happened in those walls that I probably won't talk about now. But my father looking happy, but he had my grandfather, Granddad Fred, accused him of taking alcohol from the pub, and they found out later it wasn't my grandfather. It wasn't my father. It was actually the cleaner that had taken it, and she admitted to that. And she was a secret alcoholic, and she admitted to that before she passed away. But by then the damage had done. The rift was there in the family. We moved out of the pub, and we had quite a bad time of it. My father went into depression. And that was quite a nasty time. This is my father, much older, and he, at this time, I think they had moved. So I'd moved out of the house, and then years later they got their dream home, and they'd worked very hard for. And this was my father just asleep. I just thought it was nice to take a picture of him asleep. This was before he got ill, obviously, and he passed away. He's gone now. This was my first cat that I had of my own, called Jerry Juniper, and he's gone as well because he got very poorly, but lovely cat. And here's the pictures of my son Louis in my first flat. When I found out I was pregnant, my father threw a fit, and he basically said, you either deal with it, as in you remove it from your life, sort of thing, or you get out of my house. And so I did. I got out of the house, obviously, and I moved into a homeless hostel for women, which wasn't the most amazing experience, but at that time I just saw it as a means to getting to where I needed to get to, which was having a place of my own, to raise my son. This is my mother, by the way, feeding Louis. And pretty much that's all there is to that. We lived in this flat for 2 years. It was okay, but the guy next door, he beat his girlfriend a lot, and I wasn't putting up with that. I actually had a standoff with him in the hallway, and he threatened to hit me, and I said, you go ahead and I'll call the police. I said, I absolutely dare you to do it. I'm quite feisty, as most people know. If I feel threatened, then I will retaliate. Sometimes that's been a blessing. Sometimes it's been a bit of a curse to be this feisty. That's Louis as he was. He was only a few weeks old then. Absolutely gorgeous. Just gorgeous. It was such a happy baby. I couldn't have wished for a better child. I went back to work after 6 weeks of having him. I wasn't ready to go back, but I did. And because of my nursery nursing diploma, I managed to get a job in a nursery and take Louis with me, which was perfect. I just took a lower cut in my pay in order to take him. And I was just determined not to be a single mother statistic. I was very, very determined that I should work. And there he is. I go through phases, as you can see, of making my hair long and then cutting it off really, really short. I actually lost a lot of weight after I had Louis. I never had postnatal depression. I think I got upset one day, and that was it. I just didn't have time for postnatal depression. And plus I was really busy. I mean, I think, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but I think a lot of ladies who have postnatal depression are, if they're at home a lot and they have time to ponder. I didn't have time to ponder. I just had to go to work every day, bar two, and make money so we could live. That was basically the long and the short of it. This is my friend Roz, and she's the mother of one of my friends I used to go to school with. It often happens that I get very good friends with my friends' mothers. Roz looked after Louis sometimes as well, and she's a lovely lady, and I still see her, speak to her, and she's got grandchildren of her own now, which is lovely. And her and her husband Trevor are just really lovely people. Of course, my dad came around. As soon as he saw Louis, he just fell in love with him. And I know he was trying to save me from a lot of, hassle, But I know as soon as Louis came into the world, he was just so proud. He just absolutely adored him. And so all was forgiven. We made friends again. This is Louis on his first day at school. He's just so cute. Absolutely. And a real character as well. Louis has got so many friends. He is really popular. Oftentimes here at my house, his room will just be full of teenagers, because he's just a real friend magnet. A lot of people call him up now. He's a teenager, and they, want advice, or they just want somewhere to hang out, and they just adore Louis. More pics of Louis. And actually, when I came out of my first induced coma, he was the first person I called out for. I really wanted to know that he was all right and he was safe, and that I was safe, of course. But he was scared to death, bless him. And this is Louis doing the garden at my grandmother's house. He's very close to my grandmother. She helped me raise him a lot. She was able to have her second youth, I think, through Louis. More pics. And this one actually is me and my grandmother. She used to take me and Grandad Dave, her second husband, used to take me to National Trust places when I was younger. I was an only child, also I obviously, even though I had half sisters and a half brother, I didn't see a lot of them, and so I pretty much had my grandparents' attention all to myself. This was me at my very first job working in beauty as a clinique consultant, and I was so proud to get this job. This is us again in a different place, different house. We moved around a lot. I find it very difficult to settle. In fact, this place that I'm actually in now is the place that I've been in the longest. But this was, Louis took this picture, which I thought was really cool. I was just messing around. And since then I've worked for Christian Dior, for Elizabeth Arden, Estee Lauder, Urban Decay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I love working in that sort of medium. I love making women feel amazing through teaching about skincare and beauty. Okay, so this is my granddad, Dave. He's passed away now. I really miss him. He was just a lovely, lovely, lovely human being. We're just sitting there at one of the National Trust places, I think. It's obviously before I started going to secondary school, I think. This was the first holiday I ever took, and this man here is a waiter. Because I can't find any of the pictures of me and Louis on this holiday, but it was the first holiday I could ever afford to take him on, and it was in Salou. And I used to work as, okay, so after I left Switzerland, I became a child rep working for Cosmos, and I was based in Salou, or Salau as they say in Spain. And the reason why I took Louis there is because I knew my way around, and obviously when you've got a very young child and you're going abroad on your own, you want to know where the medical centre is, and you want to know where all the safe parts are and where the not so safe parts are. So that's why we went to Salou. And we had a lovely time, and I was really proud that I was a single parent. I could afford to take my child on holiday, because it's not cheap. But we had a lovely time. As I started getting more independent, Louis started to grow up, and kind of my grandmother looked after him as well. I told her that I would like to go and see my friends in Texas, and she was like, yeah, fine. I think she wanted me to take Louis with her, but I think every mother gets to a point where she wants to go and do something for herself. It's not meant to be mean or, blocking your children out, but it's just like you want to discover something, I don't know. But as you can see, I'm much larger there. It's probably important that you know at this time I'd lost control of my weight. I no longer kind of really thought about it, but I knew I was getting heavier. But I did go to Texas, and I went to see my friends, which they're here. That's Rana, and that's Christina. And these two men are just two random men who decided to sit with us while we were having a drink. So they're not anything to do with us. But there's a lot behind this friendship here, which I won't go into now. But there's a, lovely lady. I'm going to leave it there. Not say any more. That's me going Texas. Me going Texas. And me with my best friend's food. That's really where my I think Texas was one of the places, so, just seeing all this, like, you mean they do refills? You mean they can, supersize stuff? Excellent. And, yeah, I wouldn't blame Texas wholly, but I think that, it was me as well. But, having freedom, having money, being able to eat whatever I wanted, it's kind of cool. This is Verity Vale. Some of you know her as a pin-up, and she's an amazing lady who she makes some fantastic clothes too, and she does. She's currently working within the burlesque community, but I did her makeup. That's why I have these. And this is from Holly May's older site, which was 21st Century Pin-Ups. I don't think it's up now, but and then I think this was probably when I'm trying to think whether it was when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, but this was my first test shoot for Ugly's Models, which was an agency, or is an agency in London, and it was the agency I joined after I made the skinny video with Lowrider. And that was a pop video I was in, and I think I'd probably done a Bodacious magazine by then. But Coxie took these pictures, and Coxie was my agent. Really lovely guy. Unfortunately, I parted company with Uglies because I lost the plot somewhere along the line, and I think it was after I left, just before I left ASOS. I was working for ASOS as a fit model, and I had a lot of problems getting paid from ASOS. I got really angry with my agency about, like, why couldn't they rush this through? I mean, I'm still a single parent, remember. You know, and although, like, working in other places and doing other things, that was fine, but, you know, it was just frustrating. And that's one thing I will say with modelling: don't expect to be paid straight away, because sometimes you're not. Sometimes you have to wait months to be paid. That was just me trying to work my style, whatever that was I was doing. Okay, so now real quick, because we've got like 25 minutes. Oh, sugar. Okay, let me stop this video and then we're just going to go back, because I've got some more to show you in a second.